All right. Hello, everyone. Thank you for being here. We may have some people continue to trickle in, but we can go ahead and get this started and introduce our partners of this program. You all likely know me. My name's Tana Russell. I am Deputy Director at the Evergreen Council on Problem Gambling. And we've got the other partners joining us today. So I'll have them introduce themselves and their role in this program. I want to give credit to Jeremy and Roxanne, who are the brains behind this program and the funders of this program, and they really saw the need for this. So they approached us to make this happen, and we're providing program management for this. Uh, Jeremy or Roxanne, do either of you want to go first?
Oh, well, hi. I'm Jeremy from the Healthcare Authority. My counterpart, and some would say boss, Roxanne, is also on the call. And actually, a lot of this started almost a year ago when we invited GamFin to give us a demo. And again, Roxanne was there, Tana was there, a couple other people. So this idea started again almost 12 months ago, and has taken a while to get to where we are now. So very excited to be having this kind of kickoff today.
Hi, and it's Roxanne, and I just want to add that I appreciate the Evergreen Council and Problem Gambling taking on this project. And we're very excited as the state agency to be working with you all on this. So thank you.
And we have Jim and Andrea with GamFin on the call.
Yeah, hi, I'm Jim Haw with GamFin, and I just want to say, first of all, thanks to Roxanne and Jeremy for getting this up and running and believing in what we're doing. And of course, Tana and Maureen at the Evergreen Council, you guys have been great and supporting us through everything. So we're really excited to be able to launch this service. It's something that we're seeing is needed all across the country. So we're very happy to be here. I'm not going to do the main presentation. That's going to be Andrea. But just so you guys know, I am somebody with lived experience from a gambling disorder as well. I'm in long-term recovery, so I understand the benefits of this personally. And I'm going to turn it over to Andrea.
Yes, thank you so much. Thank you for having us here. Thank you for the opportunity to present and share more about GamFin. My name is Andrea Person, which is really fun. Anytime I get a work email, it's usually a person at whatever company I'm at. So I look like spam, but I'm not, I promise. And I am the manager of network and quality at GamFin. I'm also an intake specialist and care navigator. So I have lots of different roles, which has been really fun and really insightful as far as knowing our process really well, supporting other intake specialists, and making sure that your clients get served really, really well. So I'm excited to be here and share more about our program.
Wonderful. And Jeremy, correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think we have anybody from the UW C-Shrub program here. Would you be willing to give an introduction on their behalf?
Sure. Yes, as the contract with the University of Washington was signed on Friday, so I did not have time to get them prepped for this meeting. But basically, the Center for the Study of Health and Risk Behaviors will be evaluating this program for us. And so then they'll be doing follow-up. And I think I talk about that more at the end of the presentation. So I'll give you more details then, but I will be standing in for them. But I'm also managing that contract for HCA. So I'll be working very closely with them.
Awesome. So we're going to get rolling. What I ask from you all is jot down your questions, or you could drop them in the chat as they come to you, but we'll address questions at the end for two reasons. One is we may naturally answer them as we go. B, because people who aren't here are going to be watching this later, I thought it would make a cleaner, more considerate video for them to be able to just watch our whole spiel. And then if they'd like, they can keep watching to see all of your questions, which they may have some of the same questions. So just write those down and we will take that at the end. So I did send out to everybody in an email this referral packet, which I'm screen sharing. If you can't find it in your email, just let me know. I will send it to you again, not a problem. But you should have this, and this is essentially what we're going through today, and we'll be explaining this in a bit more detail than what's necessarily captured in the packet. So first, we want to talk about information about this program and the benefits to participants and providers. Jeremy, can you kick us off with that?
Okay. Yeah, again, very excited. So basically we are launching this as a pilot. HCA is, again, the idea here being that we will provide at no cost to your clients financial counseling. And by we, I mean ECPG monitoring a contract through GamFin, who will actually be hiring certified financial planners to help your clients. So again, no money changes hands with your clients at all. The state is paying for it again through the Evergreen Council on Problem Gambling. And so again, we're running this for about 70 clients or through June 2027. Hopefully, if it goes well, more money can be added later, but we'll get to that as things spool up. So don't let that be a barrier. If you have, again, individuals who you are working with who will benefit from this program, please refer them on if you think that they will take an active role. And I know Jim and Andrew will be talking about the very active role that your clients will have to take in this process. It is not a passive process at all. So no, I think that's really it. So again, the idea here is that we are bringing together two things. We're bringing together traditional cognitive, therapy along with financial counseling to help people have the best possible outcomes.
Yes.
And that is it's my opening.
Perfect. The benefits to clients, obviously, getting free financial counseling services. Now, some may not want that, and that's fine. But for those who do, this is a great opportunity for them to get that. And they're working with staff at GamFin that has special accreditations. I'm sure Andrew will talk more about that when they cover their program. It's rare to find individuals who have specialty training in not only counseling, but also finance and gambling. So they've got all three of those as part of their expertise. Also, the benefits to you as counselors. We've been looking for something like this for a while to be able to refer our clients to financial counselors for financial advice from people who understand gambling disorder. So we're finally getting that underway, and we hope that this will continue to expand. All right, so next is provider and participant requirements. I'll start this off. Jeremy, please jump in anytime if I forget something or if you want to expand on this. Referring providers, which is who I sent this invite out to, you all and the others, are those who are licensed or certified through the Washington Department of Health to practice in the state of Washington. So your SUDPs or your marriage and family therapists, social workers, mental health providers, etc., and are either certified gambling counselors. It doesn't matter if it's the Washington state level or the international level or both, any of that's fine, or people who are in training. So I looked up all of the people who had completed at least our training in the past 2 years, and some individuals have also done a training at another state, before they moved to Washington, and that's fine too, and are working with the supervisor. So it's not for those who, maybe did the training 5 years ago and have never done anything with it. These are for people who are, in fact, actually pursuing the gambling certification. So trainees, we also want them being able to refer people as well. And they're providing gambling treatment. Whether it is the person with a gambling disorder or problem gambling, maybe they're in that 2 to 3 diagnostic criteria range, but you're still working with them, that's fine. Or the family members, loved ones, affected others. Family is used very, very loosely. Okay, they don't have to be blood family or marriage family, but a loved one who's being, directly affected that you might be working with, please feel free to refer them as well. Participants must be a Washington state resident. We're not providing free gambling treatment for people all over the country or free, financial counseling all over the country, just for our state. They are involved with one of you all, as the requirements are above, referred by their gambling treatment provider, and they're amenable and willing to participate. So if your client says, that's not for me, I don't want to do it, don't refer them against their will, right? As long as they're wanting to do it. and willing to be contacted by the UW C-Shrub program for the survey. And Jeremy will tell you more about the survey itself more towards the end. Or affected, like I said earlier, affected family members or loved ones can also be referred for this. All right. Jeremy, anything else you want to talk about on provider and participant requirements before I hand things over to GamFin to talk about their program?
No, absolutely. Very straightforward. You're a gambling counselor or gambling counselor trainee. You have a client who wants to do it and they live in Washington, or of course the family members. That's it. Pretty straightforward.
Okay, so now I'm going to turn this over to, I believe, Andrea to talk about the GamFin financial counseling and what clients can expect or what you could explain to them to expect if you do this referral for them.
Thank you so much. I am curious, would it be okay if I shared my screen for a slideshow, or would you like me to just use the referral packet? Oh, you're muted.
Thank you. You can absolutely share your screen. I've stopped sharing and made it so it should allow you to share as well. Go ahead.
Thank you. Okay. Is everybody seeing my slideshow?
Yep.
Wonderful. Thank you. Okay. So we're presenting more information about our services that we provide through this new beautiful partnership. And just a brief overview, we provide specialized financial counseling and training designed for the problem gambling community. So our program is supported by state level initiatives all across the United States. So of course, we're just focusing on Washington today. And of course, it is available to individuals and loved ones, which we talked about, and they're likely not going to be getting gambling specific treatment. So those referrals don't need to be a client of yours in order to come to GamFin. I just wanted to clarify that for the affected others. So why we partner, clients rarely seek help because they've lost joy for gambling. They're seeking help usually because their debt has become unmanageable and it's a financial crisis and there's extreme financial distress. So if we don't stabilize that financial stress, the client's often too distracted to engage in that deep therapeutic work that you are trying to do with them. And we recognize that you are the experts in behavior, not just in debt management, or not in debt management. So that financial rock bottom is usually why your clients are walking through the door, and we can help provide that financial expertise so that you can remain focused on the therapeutic process. And just another note that I wanted to make, traditional financial advice like wealth management is accessible, but it's not designed for the complexities of recovery from problem gambling or gambling disorder. So our core service of financial counseling, our counselors don't look just at the numbers, they're looking at the emotional biases behind them. And through this pilot, your clients are going to have access to one-on-one sessions designed to build guardrails and strategic debt plans without any sales pressure. So there's no product that we're trying to push, no third-party partnerships that we're trying to push on your clients. Our sessions are all HIPAA compliant. We're very, very careful with your client's information and confidentiality, and they're 100% virtual. So it really makes it accessible. And you will also see as you help clients schedule that we offer appointments, as early as 5 a.m. all the way to 10 p.m., depending on what time zone you're in. So there's a lot of flexibility as far as time goes for getting a client scheduled. So this is kind of the client's experience. It's a very simplistic snapshot of what we do, and it's not like we go through these steps one by one, but it's to kind of give you a general idea. So we gather information from the client. That first session is really going to be a lot of questions. We do ask clients to complete new client onboarding forms before they get started. And that is to help us get an idea of what's going on. They also complete some clinical questionnaires like the IFDFW, the PGSI, and the PHQ-4. I almost got those mixed up. So we're gathering that information before they start working with their financial counseling so we can kind of see where are they at. We'll also ask information about their debt. We'll give them an opportunity to share, what do they want their financial counselor to know. So for example, I did an intake with a client a couple of days ago who was disclosing some medical information that he felt like had really impacted why he started gambling. So I shared that information with the financial counselor so that they were aware, what they were walking into. And so then the financial counselor will start to create a plan with a client. And oftentimes it's going to be something, for lack of a better term, stop bleed. So, they will help the client with whatever they need to help put those guardrails in place and prevent further harm from happening in the immediate. So they're creating that plan with a client. They want to focus on the long-term goals, but sometimes in the beginning, it's like, what do we immediately need to do to keep you safe, or keep your family members safe? And then start to implement those plans. And then the financial counselor will monitor those plans and adjust as needed. So your experience, your client is going to sign a release of information from Evergreen. That information packet is so beautiful that you really worked so hard on it. It's so good. There is a release of information in there. We'll also need the client to sign a release of information on our end. And then you will be a part of the loop. You'll receive their budget and their progress notes. And our goal is for our financial plan to align perfectly with your clinical recovery goals. So you can really collaborate with the financial counselor and talk about your client's progress, so that we can be aligned with what your client is needing to do. So I hope that was not too vague. I'm just going to share a few comments from what our clients say and then what other treatment providers have said about our programs. So this client said they've had 3 sessions with a financial counselor from GamFin, and their service was so wonderful and truly helped my anxiety so much, which is my biggest trigger. So I look at my finances, get anxiety because I want to solve my issues now, and I gamble. So their financial counselor really helped break it down and curb the spending and helped this person look at the broader picture, which is really important, in the therapeutic process, obviously, identifying those triggers and helping to support them so that they even are just aware, like, this is my trigger. That's huge. And then you can imagine how that really impacts their ability to engage in their therapy. And then this client shared that they were calmed by their financial counselor's expertise, which is, again, so important with this population that we are working with. And what treatment providers say. So this is from Elizabeth Thielen from the New Cost of Behavioral Health, and there's a lot here. I'm just going to highlight she was so impressed because the client had been so guarded in therapy prior to the point of meeting with a financial counselor. She said somehow with the focus on healing the financial impact of past gambling and the financial counselor's genuine, open, and supportive stance, the client shared more about his gambling history and the financial impact that I had even known to date. So you can see how addressing that financial piece of it will help clients heal. Jennifer, I am not going to butcher her last name, but Jennifer wrote, GamFin has been an invaluable asset in working with individuals and families touched by problem gambling. The feedback from them has been overwhelmingly positive and shows in their response to treatment. And Denise Bergner wrote, from way back in, wrote, this is the service we've needed to give clients hope. Finances, when you're helping somebody heal from problem gambling or gambling disorder, has to be discussed. It has to be addressed. And so, in most cases, obviously, so this, she feels like this was the missing piece to the client's treatment. And just to share, we are an IAP GGC preferred provider, and we offer certified financial training for clinicians. So you can earn CEUs from our training that we provide. And this was my last slide. Jim, did you have anything you wanted to add?
No, just a couple things. So, as treatment providers, you are welcome to sit in on the sessions if your client wants you to. We have that quite a bit, especially early on, so you get familiar with the process. So it'll be you, the client, and our financial counselor, and then you can work together in creating a plan. It also makes it easier to explain to other clients what this experience really looks like. But yeah, we're here to help, and we're excited about this. And uh, the the most common phrase we get from clients that meet with us is that they have hope. What we're really doing is creating a safe place for people to sit down and talk about a very difficult subject. As somebody who is in recovery from a gambling disorder, I know it was the hardest thing for me to do was to talk about money and the debt that I had accumulated. And this is a way for people to start that conversation without getting yelled at or screamed at or punched or whatever it might be, but they can actually discuss and explore what options they have. That's all I wanted to add. And I want to rather answer questions that people have.
Perfect. The one follow-up question I have for you all is if now once you have the releases of information in place with the referring providers, if the provider has a question about something the client brought up or wants to clarify, are they able to contact you or do a quick consult or get their question answered?
Absolutely. Yep. They can reach out to the financial counselor directly.
Awesome. Perfect. All right. Let's talk about the referral process real quick, and I'll share screen the packet again. And Andrea, maybe you can just keep going here. We've kind of captured a few screenshots of the very basic process, but go ahead.
Yeah, so what you're going to do on our main website, you're going to book a free intake session. You're going to follow the prompts. If you are helping the client get scheduled, there is a specific prompt for you as a treatment provider. So the page is going to look like this. You're going to hit start. Then there's an option for you to select treatment provider, and you will fill out the client's information and your information, and you'll be able to bypass our intake and actually schedule directly with a financial counselor. So that's great. It speeds up the process by about 24 hours, depending on when you can schedule, possibly even more than that, depending on when you can schedule. Now, if the client is scheduling, they will likely need to go through, if you send the client the link to schedule, that's totally fine. We have a lot of states who do that as well. And, maybe you can't do it at the end of your session, you ran out of time, or the client wants to take a look at it before they decide. You can give them the link to schedule. They're going to go through the prompts, and when they'll select that they're scheduling for themselves, it's going to prompt them to schedule an intake session. Not a problem at all. Our intake specialists know how to support that person, answer all the questions they have, and verify that they are eligible. So your client will need your name, so that they'll need to know your first and last name so that we can verify that they are eligible. And then we'll help them schedule directly with a financial counselor. There's pros and cons to both approaches. Intake specialists know all of our financial counselors and their strengths and their schedules. And so sometimes, the client experience, they enjoy the intake session. It's not a barrier because they get to hear a little bit more. They get to meet us a little bit before they dive right into that financial counseling session. And then sometimes, people prefer to have that more urgent appointment scheduled with their treatment provider, where they get to dive right into their financial counseling. So either way, it's a great way for them to get to know us.
Perfect. And I think somewhere in the referral portal, it might show them a screen that lists the different GamFin counselors, and there's something for them to just select any of them so they can get the earliest time available. Do you want to talk about that?
Yeah, yep. So once they get to the scheduling page to schedule so with the treatment providers, this is when a treatment provider is scheduling the appointment, because it will bypass intake. They're going to get to a screen where it'll say any available, and then underneath that, it'll have each financial counselor and their specific scheduling pages. So, so basically, when you select any available, it is linking every single financial counselor's calendar to that link. They're going to click on that, and they will see a ton of appointments, options. So the client really can just say a date and time that works for them, and it's likely going to be available. And then if they're going to intake, it's similar. But it's just 3 intake specialists whose calendars are linked to that. So when the client is scheduling the appointment, it's going to route them to go to intake, and then they will see the same thing, any available, and then they'll see our 3 profiles listed beneath that. And the client will be able to, if they're like, oh, this person seems really nice, they could select that person and meet with Kristen, or meet with Alexis, or meet with myself, or they could select any available, and they'll get the soonest available appointment.
Perfect. And I know one of you had mentioned to me at some point that you tend to see the highest response rates of showing up for the appointments if the appointments are scheduled within 2 weeks. So if the appointment's scheduled, 3 or 4 weeks out, then they tend to see higher no-show rates. So I thought that was good information for you all to have as well.
Yeah, Jim, did you want to comment on that?
No, I think that is very true, and it's a significant difference. So after 2 weeks, the no-show rate almost doubles. So that's why we're trying to, on our end, really make sure that people schedule within the first 2 weeks of reaching out. And we do send reminders. If they've opted into text, we'll send them text reminders and email responses or reminders on a regular interval, so they don't forget. But anything beyond 2 weeks, if we can avoid it, let's try to do that.
Perfect. And we're gonna go back to more information about the survey in a minute, but I first just wanted to show you this release of information. This is for you, for your records on your end. You are not going to be submitting this at any point. You just, of course, need to have appropriate releases on file. So we've created one for you. This is between you and GamFin. It does collect whatever email or phone number they would like to receive their appointment confirmation at. So that way you can collect it and just look at that when you put in the referral. And then, of course, the purpose and just consent to program participation. So this explains the survey at the end with C-Shrub and all of that, so they can be very well informed. If they do want to reach out for questions, they can. Of course, that's outside of this release. They certainly could, call us if they wanted, but it's more secure if they just stick with asking you questions, or you guys can forward your questions to me. I'll send them to GamFin if it comes up. Just feel free to reach out at any point on that. But like GamFin said, they will also have them sign a release on their end as well, but this is the one on your end. All right, and lastly, we'll do a bit about the program evaluation piece from Jeremy, and then we'll start answering your questions. Jeremy, go ahead.
All right, thank you. I mentioned earlier in this that we've only signed a contract on Friday for the evaluation. So some of it I'm going to give you some of it I'm going to be rock solid about, and some of it I'm going to do my best guess to kind of tell you what's going to happen in the evaluation process. So why we're doing it, of course, is to be good stewards of taxpayer dollars. Does this program work? Does it do what it says it's supposed to? I'm pretty sure it does from the data I've seen, which is why we're here now. But I did bring the University of Washington on board to provide independent evaluation. And so with that, they'll be contacting 2 prongs, both the clients and you as a provider. Now, at no point will the University of Washington will not be receiving PHI. They will not be receiving any health information. They will just be receiving from GamFin, they'll be receiving basically name, phone number, email. That's it. And then they'll receive a survey, probably emailed. Again, the protocol hasn't been set up yet. Also, we're going to have the University of Washington work together with GamFin to avoid duplication because GamFin already does evaluate their services. And so we're going to make sure those are lined up to, because if somebody receives two different evaluations for the same service, they probably won't do them both. So, but again, participating in the evaluation is not required. It'll come after the services are over. So again, if your client doesn't do it, again, it does not impact their ability to receive service. And so the client will receive a survey, and then also you as the provider will receive a survey. It will not say which client. It will just say you referred a client, and so if you referred multiple clients, you're basically just going to have to consolidate your answers into a general feeling about the service as opposed to individual results. So again, also not required that you take the survey. As the person kind of overseeing things from the state, I would like the information. I'd like to know if you feel like this is benefiting your client's recovery. And so that's what we're looking to do here. It's not extensive. It's not big. It's going to be a handful of questions. So again, those will all happen. Protocols haven't been set up yet. I imagine approximately 3 months after. So again, but that has to be hammered out still. But in short, to summarize, there will be an evaluation. You will be contacted, client will be contacted. It is not required, but we hope everybody does it. So that's it.
Thank you very much. And as those of you who are familiar with research in our field know, having an outside third party collect data helps to support the evidence that is collected, and if there's any feedback for program changes or improvements that can be made, then that allows us to then take that moving forward. Because like Jeremy said, we'd like to keep this going after this pilot if possible. So we're going to take questions in a minute. First, Brad, I don't know if you're still here, but Brad had already referred a client through this process and was willing to sort of share a little bit about his experience with that with you all. If this is a good time for you, Brad?
Yeah, can you hear me okay?
Yes, we can. Thank you.
Okay, great. Well, this is going to be brief, partly because I mainly wanted to share about how easy the process was. I don't know if I did all the steps. I guess I would be considered an early adopter. I'm like, oh, it's up. This is great. But it was super easy. I just was able to set up the appointment with my client in about 5 minutes, and we just went on the site together. I'm probably going to miss a detail or two because this is just what I'm remembering, but going to Washington, saying yes, referred by a counselor, entering just a little bit of information about him, and then he was able to either choose like any available counselor, and there's a bunch. I don't know, there must have been at least, I want to say like 15, something like that. And then he was able to choose the person he wanted. This was like a Thursday. He was able to get in Monday. He had the appointment. He was a little bit of a unique case in the sense that he had done extensive research already, had already like talked to an attorney and everything like that. And it was still helpful for him, even though he had, looked into, bankruptcy and all kinds of different details. And even with that extensive research he had already done, the session was super helpful for him. So it wasn't something that he ultimately needed to continue just because he came in kind of way on one side of the bell curve in terms of what he already knew, but he definitely felt that, the person that he talked to was solid and reinforced some things that he had done extensive research about, and then also added a couple pieces that he hadn't thought of. So really was like kind of shockingly simple, given how complicated our field can be to try to get people help, and certainly free help. And so, I was really surprised, and I'm excited for other clients, especially ones who don't maybe have as much background, but even for someone who, like, he was telling me about, about certain financial things that he had learned from his attorney and stuff. So I was just really impressed with how easy it was. And so I just wanted to give a little testimonial about that and how excited I am for other clients. And also just to know that family members might be able to receive support. I hadn't realized that. And so, yeah, I think that could be great because I do have the experience, as maybe other people do as well, where I have a client who's they're ready to do the work, but they're not quite ready to have their family member, be involved in their treatment. And so, obviously sorting out the confidentiality piece and things like that. But it's nice to know that, family members aren't just sort of stuck when it comes to, how to manage their finances that are impacted by the person who's gambling. So I'm really happy to hear that. I do have a question. Is it possible for someone who, for a family member, like, would they go through the same process in terms of, like, I, as the therapist, would be the one referring them for counseling, or is there anything different if it's a family member?
Jim, correct me if I'm wrong, but yes, you would absolutely be able to refer them. We trust that you know the eligibility requirements based off this information packet. And so you would be able to schedule them directly like you did for your client with a problem gambling, or they could go through the intake process as well. And our intake specialist would take very good care of them.
Awesome. Well, thank you. Thank you for your program and for, you know, Washington for getting connected at the state level, and for Evergreen, your involvement. It's really a rare opportunity. So I appreciate all the work that's gone into getting this set up.
Thank you so much for saying that, Brad. It really does put a huge smile on my face that you had such a good experience. So thank you for sharing.
You're welcome.
Thank you. And I saw that the first question that came in the chat was from Delise about family, which I think we've answered. And just to reiterate, family's loose, right? They don't have to be blood related or married, family of their choosing, affected loved ones, etc., as is kind of normally how we define it in our state. And Dorothy asks, will family members have to have an ongoing gambling counselor? Jeremy, do
No.
you want to answer that?
Oh, go ahead,
Or
Jeremy.
Andrea? Anyone of us could really.
I mean, I'll
I
do
would
it.
like to answer that. I would like to answer that.
Okay, go ahead.
I think we need to get a clarification on this, because from the evaluation side, that could be a little bit tricky. I don't think we want to not have family members get help, but I think Jeremy and Tana, we should probably talk about that on the evaluation side. So I would say
Absolutely.
that that is still TBD.
Yeah, I was going to say it's definitely preferred, and we'll talk about it some more, but also we've discussed or understand that some programs aren't equipped to be able to do that in their programs. So always just reach out if you have questions. And yeah, we'll be looking at that more on the evaluation piece. Amy asks, do you have capacity to serve non-English speaking clients? Great question, Amy.
Yes, we have 2 financial counselors who speak fluent Spanish.
And do you have translation services for other languages?
Jim, do you want to answer this one?
You're muted, Jim.
It's something we're exploring, and we're also considering, we're in the process of interviewing final stages, a Mandarin speaking financial counselor. And he's somebody with lived experience as an affected other. So he's more than likely to be joining our team in the next 2 to 3 weeks. So, but it is definitely something we're looking into. What we have done in the past is allow either the treatment provider to function as a translator, or a family member to sit in, and that's worked really, really well. Sometimes they don't want the family member, so they've had the treatment provider sit in and act as that translator, and it's had good outcomes. But we are working on it. We're still relatively small and growing, but we understand that we do need to have other options.
It sounds like it might be a good idea if one of the counselors has someone that, you know, speaks a language, might need translation services, maybe to reach out to you before they make the referral and let you know,
Yes.
hey, here's the situation, here's the language. And so that way you can have something set up and in place before the referral's made. So as soon as they come in, you're already expecting it.
Yes, of course. And we are working, so the Louisiana Council on compulsive gambling is what they call it. They have like 140 languages that they can work with, and we are partnering with them starting next month. So we hope to learn some of the resources that they have and how they have established this, to and then implement that into our services.
Perfect. And Dorothy Capers asked about BIPOC. That was following Amy's question, but Dorothy, did you want to unmute or give more context on what your question is?
Do you have BIPOC financial advisors?
Many. Yes.
Thank you.
Yes.
All right. And yes, GamFin's website is where you can find the referral form. Andrea, do you want to screen share your website real quick and you can just walk them? I know like filling in all of the form fields might not be, what we want to do right on the thing, but you can definitely navigate them to where they need to go.
Yeah, I'm so glad you said that because I had it pulled up just in case. So either button, book an intake session, and then you'll hit start. And that's confusing, right? Because I told you you're going to bypass intake, but you're going to start that way, book an intake session. And then are you scheduling this appointment for yourself? Yes, that would be for your client if they're completing it, or if you're the mental health provider. So when you're helping a client schedule, you're going to hit no. I'm a mental health professional scheduling for my client, and you're going to hit select, and then you're going to fill out your information here and then hit next. And do you authorize us to contact your client? Yes, all good. You can hit select here and fill out your client's information. So first name, your client's last name, your client's email. Phone is not required, but it does help clients show up for their appointment because they get a text message reminder. And then client case ID if that's applicable. And then what state that your client is in. So you'll hit Washington here. I guess I should fill this out too. I'll be the client as well. You'll hit next. And then you're just going to you're not scheduling a follow-up session. You're going to be scheduling the initial consultation. Now, moving forward, if you are going to help your clients schedule follow-up, you would go through the same process and then you would get to this screen and hit follow-up. But initially you're going to do the initial consultation for my client. That's like the first financial counseling appointment. You'll book that. And this is where I was telling you, you can select any available, or you can scroll through our list of providers here. So it would be really cool if on this screen, Jim, we could list language, because Kathy and Oscar are the two financial counselors who speak Spanish, just for your team's note. But it would be cool if we could list that here so they could see it. And then any available, and then you can see our current availability. We can schedule as soon as Friday at 1 p.m. And you can change time zone here to Pacific time. So you can see all of the different appointments that are available all the way to 7 p.m. Eastern or Pacific time. Any questions on the scheduling pages?
That was fantastic.
Yes,
Thank you.
I have a question. Sorry.
Yes.
Where's the consent form in this area? Is it on this area?
For GamFin,
Mm-hmm.
our consent form is an internal document, so the financial counselor will have the client fill out the consent form during their initial intake. Yeah.
And that's why we included the consent form in your referral packet, so that you had your client's permission to do this referral and give GamFin their name and email, etc. And then as soon as they have the client in front of them, they'll have them sign a release as well. And then Vanessa asked, do the financial counselors have the capacity to help with IRS related issues?
So I'll answer that. We will not represent them for the IRS. We will talk about what options they have. We get a lot. This is a really common thing that people show up with. And even in our group, we had a woman who showed up with a stack of IRS letters that she had never opened for the past 3 years. And Yeah, it's something. And we talked her through it, and she actually opened all the letters and called the IRS within 10 days of a meeting with us. So what we will do is we will tell them what their options are, how to handle this, and sort of ease that anxiety around these IRS issues. It typically starts with telling them open all the communications you have because that's going to tell you what the next steps are. Um, when people get in trouble with the IRS, and I mean that you hear the commercials on the radio or whatever, "Oh, they're coming to seize your home and garnish your wages and all these things," that really rarely happens. That only happens if you keep ignoring them over and over again. Those letters that people receive from the IRS are really saying, hey, please contact us. We want to talk to you. And that's what we tell our clients, and then get them to talk to the IRS and see what's really going on, in addition to seeing what's in those letters of communication, because they always send letters, they don't call you. Um, then we will say, okay, here are your options. Here are free resources. Sometimes there's nonprofits in the area that we can connect them to that could help them with that tax filing. Or we can say, here's the next step of maybe reaching out to a registered agent. Or we can say, go here, get your taxes filed for the past 3 years, and then we will evaluate next steps. But we don't do the actual tax filing part of it because that can be quite extensive and states don't really pay for us to do that work. But we will tell them what kind of options they have and what the next step should be in that process. So yes, tax issues do come up almost weekly.
Particularly with April around the corner.
Yes, and we can tell you that we do a training for treatment providers because the situation or the issues that are related to gambling are quite different than anything else. So, for example, if I gambled at Casino A and I won, let's say, $50,000, and I lost $100,000 at Casino B, Casino B is not going to report my losses, but Casino A is going to send a letter to the IRS for a $50,000 win. And I'm going to have to pay taxes on the $50,000 unless I can get documents from operator two to offset that winning. And people don't realize that. The second complexity of that is that if it's an online gaming operator, you usually have to log into your account to get those documents. And that can be a big trigger for somebody who has gambling disorder. Or if they're self-excluded, they can't get access to that information. So they have to ask for special permission to get 24 hours access to their online accounts to then get the tax forms, which again can be a trigger. And in that point, we'll advise them to have somebody with them. Sometimes our financial counselors have actually been on the phone with them to get that information, just to create a safe environment.
Perfect. Thank you. And I did reattach the information packet to the chat for you. If you don't have that open, you can scroll and download that if you haven't yet. And Dorothy asks, can the participant request this service with you outside of the state contract?
Yes, they can.
And
Because we currently operate in 19 different states. So there's a lot of people that could use this service and want the service in other states. So we created a discounted self-pay option, which is $200. Well, it's $197 a month. And we could have just said 200, but it's $197 a month, and they get 2 sessions per month with a financial counselor. They can cancel that at any time. Plus, they get some additional tools and support that every other client would get through the state contract. So that is something that is available to anyone in any state.
thank you. That's good to know. So if there's any clients that don't meet the pilot program requirements to get the free financial counseling services through the state funding, they may be able to do a self-pay version.
Yeah. The other thing that we have is a group session called Ask a Financial Counselor that takes place currently on Wednesday nights at 7 p.m. Central Time. And if that somebody just wants to get their get a sense of who we are and what we do, they could just pop in and ask a financial counselor a question. There's also a peer support person in those rooms because invariably we get a lot of people that will say, okay, let's talk about the gambling as well. We have actually had a lot of people that we referred back to Evergreen and other treatment providers around the country because the first time they come to our group is the first time they're ever talking to anybody about their gambling. So we're getting calls from people in their garage, sitting in their cars, and they just don't know where to turn. And they found us and they're like, what do I do next? And we're sending them to treatment if that's what they want, but we're also answering their financial questions. And I can put
Awesome.
the link in, yeah. Oh, Andrew already got the link
She
in
beat
the
you
chat.
to it. She's
I
on
know
it.
I'm slow. What can I say?
And Andrea, I had a question because once we log off here, people might not have access to that link. Is there a way to get to where they can sign on for those sessions from your main website? Would you be able to show how to navigate to that real quick?
Absolutely. Great idea. So what screen am I looking? Oh, I'm still in the schedule screen, but we'll go there and I'll exit out of that. Okay, so from our main website, you will scroll down and you will see option 1, which is the one-on-one virtual counseling that we already reviewed. Option 2 here is the group session. So if the client wants to join the group session, maybe they don't want to participate in the state contract, but they still want some support with their finances, they can join a group session here. The next one is this evening at 6 p.m. That's my time, 5 p.m. Pacific time. So they'll select that. They'll come to this link here and they can register. And they just need their name and email. But then when they actually join the session, they can change their name and they don't even need to turn their video on. They can keep it off so they can still feel like they're joining anonymously if that's a concern of theirs.
And just to clarify, is the platform HIPAA compliant, or are these more
Yes.
like commute? Okay.
So all our platforms, our Zoom, everything is HIPAA compliant. Everything is encrypted.
Okay. So even the free group session
Yep.
is
Yes.
awesome.
Yep. And we do not record them for that purpose. Yep.
Okay. Well, that almost takes us to time. We've got 8 minutes. Is there any last questions? Roxanne.
Yeah, I just want to clarify a couple things. As the administrator of the state program. So we are working with Evergreen to present this opportunity to you as clinicians for a couple reasons. One is, of course, we want to get this available for people so they can get financial help, but also so that you have another tool for you so you don't have to try to take that all on yourself. And so we really encourage you to use it. There is limited funding, but there's quite a bit of funding and there might be additional funding. And so I would say go ahead and use it. Just use it. If we're running low, we'll let you know and we'll figure that out because we're also working in partnership with Evergreen, and Evergreen has also expressed a willingness to perhaps be able to help out in that regard. Not making you promise anything, Tana, but we've talked about it. The reason it's so sort of constricted at this point around that you have to be the person that connects them. They have to be seeing you as a clinician, is that we're doing this evaluation because it's important that we be good stewards of the state of Washington's people's money. And so I'm sure the service is going to be fabulous. We need to be able to prove that, to say, yeah, we have good feedback from people when we go to the legislature and say, hey, we want to expand what we're doing here. So that is why we are asking you as clinicians to go through this more restricted process. It may not be that restricted in the future. We may be able to open it up in a more general way to people that may not be in treatment. But right now, for the next year and a half or so, we do need to, what is it? Yeah, about a year and a half. We do need to actually have this process. So that I just want to let you know that there will be no protected health information, no PHI that you will be providing, that GamFin will be providing, or that you will be providing to the Healthcare Authority or to ECPG. So just rest assured about that. As a clinician, when we ask you for your feedback, we are not going to be asking you, as Jeremy said, he already said this, but I'm going to reiterate it. We are not going to be asking you about a specific client. We are just going to ask you, how do you think it's going? Do you think it's a helpful service? You may get tagged a couple times with that if you have several different clients, or we may just do that all at one as one survey for you at the end. We are still, as Jeremy pointed out, we're still working with our UW evaluators to determine that part of the process, but we want it to be an easy lift for you. And then from the client side, it will be a client satisfaction survey. So we'll just be asking them things like, what did you find it helpful? You know, what part did you particularly like? Was there anything didn't work for you? That kind of thing. But we're not going to be collecting any information about their financial state, how they, you know, how it did or didn't help them specifically financially in terms of any data. So I just wanted to make that really clear. And I guess I just want to say that we're really interested when you do report back to us on how you thought it went, you know, how it is from your point of view, both the ease of use, the efficacy, what clients thought of it. We'll be really interested to hear. And I know that GamFin will appreciate that feedback as well. So I just wanted to share that as kind of an overview of why we're doing it this way and rolling it out. And just to say in the future, you know, we may be able to make it less restrictive and more open in general, which I know in some states, Jim, it is, I believe, right? Like Oregon,
Yes.
I think they just offer it to anyone who wants it, but they have $10 million a year and we don't. So not that I'm bitter or anything. So we need to do the efficacy part and be able to back up that when we ask our state legislature for money. So thank you.
All right. Thank you, everybody. Consider me your main contact for this if you have questions, and if I can't answer them or I'm not the right person to answer them, I will forward them on to whoever is the appropriate person to answer them for you. And like she said, let's use up the funding that's been allocated for this. It'd be a good problem to have to get it all used and be asking for more. So, all right. Thank you, everybody. Take care.
Thank you.